Let's talk about the royals now. The Queen is allegedly funding Prince Andrew's legal troubles. He's in a lot of problems because a woman called Virginia Giuffre, of course, is suing the Queen's son for allegedly sexually assaulting her in 2001 when she was a teenager. And apparently, according to the Daily Telegraph, the 95-year-old head of state agreed to pay for Andrew's defence fund at the beginning of last year. There's also a revelation today, or worry at least, that Harry may be revealing the so-called royal racist in his new book. Let's talk to Rupert Bell about this. He is Talk Radio's royal correspondent. Rupert, an absolute pleasure to have you on the programme this morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you, Peter.
Probably a bit better than Prince Andrew.
I think I've been better than Prince Andrew ever since he did that interview with Emily Maitlis. It's been a pretty torrid time. And now with the news that clearly he's got financial problems and the Queen is having and has been bailing him out more or less since after that Maitlis interview, it would appear, because he's got no discernible income. She's having to tap into the income she generates from the Duchy of Lancaster. So it clearly shows just what a difficult predicament the Queen is in trying to deal with this. And Prince Andrew needs to clear his name, but unfortunately it's coming at a very high price because all these legal teams that he seems now to be employing do not come cheap. You know, we all know what lawyers are like, but the ones that he's employing clearly can command huge hourly rates, which soon mounts up into the millions that are being talked about.
What's going to happen with this Virginia Giuffre legal action? What are the next steps in terms of, I mean, could we see Prince Andrew actually in a courtroom answering questions? Is that going to happen?
I don't think so. There probably will be the legal teams will do most of it. He's got to reply by the end of the month, I'm told, October the 29th, and then things happen early November. And we know really at this stage he's got to find some way to respond, sort things out. But have to say, Virginia Roberts' team seem to be pretty confident they have a very strong case, even though referring to various legal arrangements that transpired after Jeffrey Epstein. There was an out-of-court settlement, but she wasn't supposed to be going after anybody else. But their legal team, Virginia Roberts' that is, think they've got a watertight case as far as that is concerned. So whatever, Prince Andrew, by his inaction, has only compounded the problem and dragged this out. And now he is trying to find a way of getting on the front foot. And at the moment, though, he's not making a very good job of it, although it has to be said, his legal team come with big reputations. So now they will earn that money, which is obviously being bankrolled by the Queen.
It's interesting that he's being bailed out by his mother. Of course, there are, I don't know about you, Rupert, but my parents stopped giving me money when I was, I think it was 6 months after university or something like that, when I started to stand on my own 2 feet and have a proper job. It is quite strange because Prince Andrew seems to think he can come back from this. I mean, disgraced is a word I would use to describe his position. Does he really think he can come back and be a full-time working royal again, do you think?
Only if he gets his name cleared and can put all these allegations firmly to bed. At the moment, he is poisoned goods as far as the general public are concerned. And with that hanging over him, there is no way that he can be seen to be conducting royal duties, because I'm not sure the public want him to, because first and foremost, mainly for his family's sake, he's got to clear his name. What do you think his daughters feel about this? And they've just, had a baby, and they're very happy. But clearly, the Queen does not need this at 95 years of age. And until he clears his name, there is no way back for him. He's basically a prisoner in whichever palace or castle he is currently holed up in, whether it be as, so that is the problem. And until he gets his name cleared 100%, he will not, I'm sure, be carrying out any royal duties. And that, of course, next year, he would have been expected to be carrying out a number, and perhaps would have been very much at the side of his mother while she celebrates her platinum jubilee, because that was the role that was perceived for him as very much her, escort, as it were, and consort for these sort of situations. But it's not going to happen.
I want to talk about Prince Harry and his book in a second, Rupert, but I was just baffled when I saw that absolutely amazing interview with Emily Maitlis, and whoever persuaded Prince Andrew to do that is a genius. I mean, whoever managed to, whichever producer managed to get him to actually sit down and do that interview is clearly someone who is at absolutely the top of their game. But I wonder, why was it at the start of that interview he didn't just say, do you know what, Emily, I'm going to answer all your questions. We've got an hour, but I just want to say that Jeffrey Epstein was a horrendous, evil paedophile, and anybody who was abused by him, my heart goes out to them. I will do everything I can to help. I'll give, information to the authorities and so on. Why didn't he just do that? That would have been the thing to do.
Well, the thing is, he thought he did a good job in that interview. That's
astonishing.
That was the thing. The word was, well, that went all right. But that was the problem. And that is his problem. His arrogance at times is his own worst enemy, and his belief in his own. And that in many ways why this is dragged out, because he has been calling the shots. But actually now there is pressure on him to get a grip. And clearly he thought by being quiet, he thought by doing that interview that would lay everything to rest. But what it did, and ultimately it made him a figure of fun, because all the allegations that he has, the Pizza Express, the sweating and all these things have compounded the general public's feeling about him, which is far from complimentary.
Yes, and done wonders, I'm sure, for the footfall at Pizza Express in Woking. Rupert, let's talk about Prince Harry, because he's writing a tell-all book. Someone who obviously guards his privacy very, very much, whilst giving an interview to, the most famous journalist in the world, and then writing a tell-all book. I mean, that says to me that he really does care about his privacy. He's going to possibly name the royal racist, and I say so-called racist because I'm not sure. I mean, look, we can have a debate. I never ever condone racism. Of course I don't. It's a horrendous, awful thing. But is it racist to say what colour is the baby going to be? I'm not sure. So maybe people disagree with me. Let me know if you do. I mean, if he names the royal so-called racist or the royal racist or whatever, A, do you think he's going to do it? And B, what do you think the implication's going to be?
Well, I just think it's sad that he wants to drag his family through the dirt. It just feels wrong. If he's loyal, and he talks about in that documentary to Prince Philip, to the institution, then this is not what he should be doing. And particularly when his grandmother's going to be celebrating a momentous occasion next year. But in America, he may be going around and sort of being feted left, right, and centre, as we saw in New York, and everyone fawning at the feet of Meghan and Harry. Well, fine, get on with it. But I just think if he wants privacy, don't make your family have to go through this. They've got fine, they've got the Prince Andrew issue. Prince Charles hasn't, had straightforward press in recent weeks. I just don't know why he feels the need to do it. If he wants to get on and cut his past with the royal family, don't do books. You now move on and be a businessman, whatever you want to do your good cause. But now you've split from the family. Why can't he just leave well alone? But unfortunately, he's gone into these huge commercial deals, and the people who he's done the deals with, and they've done the deals with, want something that will sell because they haven't come cheap. And that is the problem. He's now caught between the devil and the deep blue sea. And unfortunately, at the moment, it appears he's taking the devil's route against the royal family.
That's his currency, though, isn't it? It's interesting because he's, he wanted a break from the royal family, break from royal duties and all the rest of it, but he risks becoming irrelevant, doesn't he? Because the only reason anybody wants to listen to him is that he is a member of the royal family. It's not about his amazing skills or things that he has learned in his life. It's because of his experience as a member of that family, isn't it?
It's absolutely right. And that's what we saw in New York. They were still being feted as the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Well, and basically it was a sort of, in many ways, it looked like a sort of quasi-royal visit, although it had a sort of commercial overtones clearly. And, they were promoting the vaccines for all thing, which, again, that looks a bit flawed in what they were promoting. But overall, they still know that the reason they are of interest is because he is a member of the royal family. And that's where the hypocrisy is writ large, because without that royal status, no one's going to be interested. And he's not letting it go, even though he says he doesn't want to do the hard yards of being a member of the royal family. He wants to do it on his terms, and he doesn't want what happened to his mother to affect him. Well, by dragging everything through the dirt, he's compounding the media frenzy that is going to inevitably be focused on the royal family next year, which I think is a shame. because obviously they've got to clear this Prince Andrew issue. That is serious, very serious. This is just a celebrity sideshow with Meghan and Harry that in many ways, the one person who can stop this is Harry. And I'm not sure, though, he has the power to do so.
The interesting thing I find about Prince Harry, just as a final question, is, of course, that Meghan has said, and is on the record as saying, that she didn't Google him beforehand. She didn't do any research as to who, the person who was very much in line to the throne of the UK was previously. So I'm really looking forward to the bit where she reads the manuscript or the finished book where he talks about dressing up as a Nazi. Because what do you think her reaction to that completely new information will be, Rupert?
I think she knew exactly who he was.
Of course she did.
Of course she did. And this is why, again, she was quite clear. She knew what she was doing from day one. And she's not stupid. She is a very bright person who's clearly has a very clear view of what she wants to do, where she wants to get to. Look, Harry clearly in his early 20s made mistakes. But in many ways, what we saw, okay, dressing up as a Nazi, not right. But clearly, when he was in Afghanistan, he put his life on the line. And one of the frustrations he had is he couldn't serve properly as a soldier, which he was committed to. And we knew then that was when he was it seemed to be, at his happiest in many ways. Yep. And now, sadly, he now is a shadow of his former self. He's lost contact with his friends. He's cut off from his family. He's now just sort of drifting around with all the celebrities in America, trying to eke out a living, admittedly, and their lifestyle. It will mean a very expensive living, and it feels sad. And what he should be doing, rather than producing a book, he should be building bridges so that the family can get him back to normal in many ways and fulfilling the roles that I think many people would still be happy for him to do, because what he did with the Invictus Games and some of the things that he's been involved with are thoroughly commendable. So that's why I think the royal family would like him back. But at the moment, he's showing no inclination to do so.